Welcome to the Synergistic Leader podcast, where we explore the key factors shaping leadership in education and unlock insights that drive change and make a difference. Now, here is your host, Dr. Beverly J. Irby.
Welcome to the Synergistic Leader, the podcast where we explore how leadership unfolds at the intersection of behaviors, organizational structures, external forces, and beliefs, attitudes, and values, all that shape our work. I'm your host, Dr. Beverly Irby, and today we are honored to welcome a leader whose career reflects a deep commitment to building strong school systems through people-centered leadership. Joining us today is Nereida Ochoa, Director of Human Resources for Elementary Campuses at Aldine Independent School District in Houston, Texas. With more than 2 decades of experience in public education, Ms. Ochoa has dedicated her career to strengthening schools through strategic staffing, recruitment, and professional development initiatives that support both educators and students. Ms. Ochoa has been instrumental in advancing bilingual education and developing sustainable pipelines for teachers and school leaders across elementary campuses. Prior to her district leadership role, she served as a successful turnaround school principal, where her work focused on building collaborative cultures, improving instructional capacity, and creating conditions for sustained improvement. Her leadership centers on developing human capital systems that promote equity, excellence, and long-term organizational success. Through her work, she continues to support educators and administrators in creating learning environments where teachers can grow professionally and students can thrive academically. We are so delighted to have her with us today to share her insights on leadership systems and the synergy required to support schools at scale. So welcome to the podcast, Nereida Ochoa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irby. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you each and every time. I love your work. I love everything that you're doing. So it's actually an honor for me to be here today.
Oh, it's our honor for you to be here. Well, we're going to jump right into my questions for you today. We're going to talk about leadership behaviors. And I have observed very great leadership behaviors in you as a principal when you were working on the campuses. So you've led both at the campus level as a turnaround principal and now at the district level in human resources. So what leadership behaviors have been most critical in building trust and momentum when working to strengthen schools and support educators?
I think one of the things that has worked for me in all of my principal years when I was a principal and even now, it's all about building relationships first. You need to have the trust of the teachers, and it starts with consistency, transparency, presence, and one of the most important things that I tell every leader, it's following through. Because not only do teachers need to be supported, they need to feel seen and valued. They also need to understand the high expectations and that there will be following through. They need to understand that, a leader should not only expect from them, but also they should also develop them in capacity. For example, I used to have high expectations with the turnaround school. You have high expectations. There's no time to waste. But not only would I give them the expectation, I needed to get their buy-in as well, but also give them the tools and the support they needed for them to actually get the end result that was expected. So I think it goes back to just being consistent, following through, and being transparent, even when it's difficult. Transparency is a big one. And then now in HR, for example, it's also the same thing. trusting campus principals, them trusting us, letting them know that we're not just a compliance piece. We're there to support, we're there to staff their campuses, because at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing with one end goal in mind, and that's going to be student achievement. You're going to hear me talk about students the whole time because I still go back to being a teacher, even in my role today. And I just, you can't forget what we're in here in education for. And it all goes back to students.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for keeping us focused on the students, for sure. Absolutely. So thinking about your current role on human capital systems across multiple campuses that you help there in Aldine Independent School District, what structures or processes are most essential for creating sustainable teacher pipelines and ensuring schools are staffed for success?
Structures has always been huge for me. I cannot function without systems in place and structures, being aligned. And I think for my current role right now is in HR and staffing elementary and also overseeing our international teachers, because that I hire those for all of the entire district. I think there's three things for me, and it's being intentional when it comes to recruiting, strategic placement, and retention. And what I mean by that is like recruiting an HR director or an HR, we need to know, in the back of our heads before we even go to a job fair, we need to understand what our needs are, what our critical needs are in our high needs high schools or schools. We need to know all of that information before we actually go to a job fair and look for candidates, because that's going to be our intentional type of recruiting. We're going to hire the right candidates, the right people that we need for our students. When it comes to strategic placement, and that was huge for me this year or this past school year, was it's not just about getting candidates to match their certification needed, but it's more about placing the candidates in the right campus with the right leader, because they need to understand, that community's expectations, and they also need to be kind of familiar with it. I cannot take a teacher from an A background and put him in a Z school. It'll probably work, but it's not one thing we want we want for the kids to benefit from that great teacher. And we also want to make it easier for the teacher. I believe that culture is huge. So as principal and our current principals, we try to support our teachers and giving them the best culture and support needed. And that's how I feel that strategic placement has to be on point. Last year, for example, we closed a lot of our schools due to declining enrollment. And that was one thing we had to keep in mind. Where are we placing these teachers? We were very strategic. We matched them with the right campus, and that gave us a high percentage of our teachers staying. Another thing that I mentioned that we need in this role is retention. Not only do you recruit, you place with the right right campus, but also we got to make sure that we support them. And that's going to lead them to them staying in our district. We want great leaders. We currently partner up with our SHINE program, which stands for, I actually wrote this down, supporting, honoring, inspiring new educators. That's what SHINE stands for. And really the title says it all. It's all about supporting our teachers, matching them with a mentor, providing professional development on Saturdays. We even got to a point of paying our teachers for showing up on Saturdays for that. So that's been very, very successful. And that also allows them for our teachers to stay in our district for a long time.
That's excellent. All of those things that you were saying about matching on the front end, matching the teachers to the campus really fits right in with the synergistic leadership theory, because sometimes we are not, everybody wants to be successful. And I think our teachers, they want to be successful. Our leaders want to be successful. So sometimes perception is everything. So when we get to a campus that we don't match with, we're not matching, we don't fit, but we might fit with a campus across town or, down the street even. It's really important that if we're not at the right place, then we are not going to be perceived as successful. We're not going to be observed as successful, perceived as successful. And as I said, perception sometimes is everything. It starts with that. And so I think that what you're doing is exactly lines up with this. And these components or these factors of the synergistic leadership theory that helps to think about where we are or can be successful. And I tell leaders all the time, if you will do your scan and you look at these, your own leadership behaviors, the leadership behaviors of your principal, of your district, making sure that you are aligned with that and that you are not bulging out. If we were to look at a tetrahedron and it sort of bulges, if we're not aligned, we want all of those sides of the tetrahedron to be equivalent, right? And so these are the four sides of the tetrahedron. And so not only your leadership behaviors have to be, you have to be aligned with the organizational structure. And that's what you're doing too. Looking at that organization, making sure that teacher will fit in there, and looking at the external forces. And then, are their attitudes, beliefs, and values aligned with their with the campus? Because every campus has a culture, you know, and so everything has to be aligned for success to happen for the individual and for the leader as well on the campus. So just thinking about that, it really warms my heart to know that you're doing that and you're doing it on the front end, and you really may not have known it, but you are taking this theory and you are putting it into action, replacing the teachers. That is such a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. We're trying here. We're trying.
Yes, great job. So I'm thinking about those external forces, going back to that. So as you know, district leaders today must respond to policy requirements, labor market challenges. These are all things in human resources that you look at, right? So policy requirements, labor market challenges, and changing community needs. They have to all respond to that. So how do these external forces shape your work, and how do you help schools remain focused on student learning amid these pressures?
So I think it's just being proactive as a district. We know that these things are coming. So, for example, the labor, what I lost the word.
Labor market challenges. I asked you about.
There you go. The labor market challenges.
Right.
You know, and it's been a while back, but like, for example, one of the things that we have in our district to tackle that is bilingual teachers has always been a critical need in our department just because of our demographics. So like we have the home grow your own program. For example, not only that gives our bilingual paraprofessionals the opportunity to earn their degree, we partner up with a university. So not only are they earning their degree, but they're also have the ability to be able to work a full-time job. They work part-time but get paid full-time, if it makes any sense, so that they can, dedicate themselves to the studies. And then in change of that, they commit to our district, for an amount of years so that they can serve as our kids. That's one of an examples. Another one of the things is, which is huge in all of the state of Texas, is uncertified teachers. I think everybody's tackling that in their own way. Last year, we had a huge turnover. What I mean by that is that not did we hire, but we let them go, which is a good thing. And they realized that we meant business. We strengthened our teacher pathways department, which is the actual department that monitors them. And how do they do that? They're constantly meeting with them year round. They're also monitoring their progress throughout the year. We have a teacher support specialist that goes to their campuses and kind of like sits down with them and aligns goals and whatever, we're here to support you to get your certification. So I think all of that is being in place. Obviously, it has not, deleted the actual problem of the external forces that we have, but it has, eventually helped us a lot. Because at the end of the day, we can't wait for these things to just tackle us. Like, we have to be proactive. Every day, we're constantly thinking what we can do better and how we can solve these issues, because it's not just us, it's everyone.
Absolutely. You're in it together.
Yes, we are.
So, thinking about across your career, I want you to think about that from turnaround leadership to district HR. What core beliefs have guided your approach to supporting educators and creating equitable opportunities for students?
I think that the most powerful belief is, for me, it's talent. And what do I mean by that? It's that I don't think that there's an educator out there that just gets up in the morning and says, I don't want, like, I just chose this, like, this uh, a career for just to choose it. I feel like everybody wants to work hard, and I feel that everybody wants to do what's best for kids. And what the reason I mean, it's because we have, us as leaders, we have to build that capacity in them, and to give the best teachers to our kids. And when it comes to equity, I feel like we have to respond based on our needs. So, like, our high need campuses, they deserve the best leaders, they deserve the best teachers. Because again, I'm going to say this again, at the end of the day, it's kids. Kids are the result of who we staff and where we put these teachers. So I think that talent is just developing their talent and building capacity and supporting them, and making them the best leaders for our kids at the end of the day is gonna drive towards student achievement. Did I
Absolutely.
answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Um, so, when you think about the four factors of leadership behaviors, organizational structures, external forces or external pressures, and beliefs, your personal beliefs working together, what does a true synergy look like in building strong school systems? What does that look like to you?
I think true synergy for me is just realizing that it's not something that we can work, it's not working in silos. Like, it's about working together. I remember when I was principal, like, for me, I needed the district support so that I could focus on culture and instruction in my campus. And now that I'm in HR, I understand how important these systems are, and how and the structure, so that we're able to support the campuses. Because when we have a campus staffed with great teachers, the kids benefit from that. So it's kind of like all of us working together. I'm not a compliant piece, I'm there to support our principals, like the principals are expecting me to support them. So it's just all working together. I really feel that there's no other definition, but other than everything comes together, it's aligned, and not it's not in silos or alone or independent. Everything's just aligned, where you need everything to become that leader.
That's right. Everything must, all of those four factors for sure have to be aligned. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa, for being with us this afternoon. And thank you for sharing your expertise and your experiences, your insights, all with us today. Your perspective reminds us that strong schools are built not only through instructional leadership, but through intentional systems. And those systems support the people who make teaching and learning possible. And your job is very important in that role. So our conversation today highlighted how leadership behaviors, thoughtful organizational structures, responsiveness to external demands, and a deep commitment to equity and opportunity all work together to create environments where educators and students can succeed. Your work underscores the importance of human capital leadership as a cornerstone to sustainable school improvement. To our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Synergistic Leader. We hope today's discussion offered new perspectives on how leadership can shape systems that empower educators and strengthen schools. So until next time, remember that leadership is most powerful when it is intentional, reflective, and synergistic. So let's lead synergistically. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Ms. Ochoa, for being here with us today to share your expertise and experience.
Thank you, Dr. Irby, for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Synergistic Leader podcast. You can look for our episodes on YouTube and Spotify.
This podcast is housed in the College of Education and Human Development at Texas A&M University, where we transform lives.